Hey friends, it's Lisa from Life with Fife. How are you? I am fresh off the needles with my second big love by Anke Strick. And oh my God, I so love it. It's thick and it's really a jacket, it fits, like it's thick enough to really wear as a jacket. It's just such a great pattern, and I just love it. I just took it out. I went for a walk and I wore this with the scarf, and I was so toasty warm, and I even took off my sweater at the end. It's really going to be perfect for the spring. And then, in the winter, here in Vermont, I can sometimes never have a big enough sweater. So I promise you, I'm going to get so much use out of this sweater. I love the pattern. I love how the pattern looks, the stitch pattern on this kind of yarn. This is Brooklyn Tweed Shelter held double. So 2 worsted weight held double. What is that? Super bulky, I think. So this shouldn't have worked out. This is like one of those things where sometimes I feel like, is knitting like, what is knitting? Like, how does it work sometimes? Because so many times I follow every single step. I get gauge, I do everything, and then the sweater doesn't work. And this time I just was like, the hell with it. I want a thick sweater. Now, remember I told you, I don't know if you remember, but we had gone to England to see Sophie, who's studying there for the year. And of course, we went at Oxford, where she's studying. There's a toast store, and it's a beautiful store. And they have so I was just like drooling over the sweaters in there, and every sweater that I loved, that I picked up and like admired and held, was thick and just, squishy, and like everything. I was just like, God, I'm not making my sweaters thick and squishy enough. I'm not like. I wanted that. Like, it just was something. I just wanted to buy every sweater in the store, in the store. And I came out of there saying, I'm going to be doing some thicker gauge sweaters. And so this was my dream. Like, I had this desire, and it came out, so I also had a bunch of Brooklyn Tweed. This sweater, if I had bought all the yarn, it would have cost me like $400. But because I had gotten a bunch of Brooklyn Tweed Shelter Fossil at a thrift store for a really good price, so I had about 16 skeins there, and then I had used a few of them for various projects. So I used all of them, I think. Yeah, and then I think I ended up buying a little bit more for this sweater. So it's the gauge. I didn't get gauge. Right? So how does that work? I didn't get gauge. So I was like, you know what? I'll just do the smallest size. So I did the smallest size with my gauge being completely off. And then of course the row gauge was also off. So when it came to, like, by the time when I was following the instructions, row gauge, my stitch gauge was off. So I knew that I was going to have more. My sweater was going to be bigger. But when I came down to like the end of the pattern, where it should have been time to start the ribbing, I was really like at the bust. Like when I tried on the sweater, it was like up here, and I'm like, that's crazy. I don't want it to be that cropped. So I had to double really what this, I just kept knitting until I said, I'm going to just keep knitting. And then finally I was like, it's getting too long in the back. I'm going to do short rows in the front. So I did 2 sets of short rows in the front. The pattern calls for short rows in at the first, when you're just finishing up the hem, and you're going to make the ribbing at the bottom. But I had to do 2 sets of short rows because it just wasn't going to be long enough. And I like this spot right here. This is like, for me, the magic spot, a little bit below the where I'm buttoning my jeans, just right here. I feel like it's a really practical, great length, and I don't know. I'm really, really happy with this. And I don't know, I feel like the knitting gods were with me. And yeah, I'm really pleased. So I'm just gonna do a comparison. So the thing with this, holding it double, making it a bulky sweater like this, what I did was I sized down and then I eyeballed and added length as I needed. I tried it on many, many times, which is, one thing that I've learned from other knitters is that I must take my time, because my tendency, and maybe there are others, like me out there, my tendency is to just get through the project. I don't know what that is about. I just want to here's the thing I love to do, right? I love to knit, and I'm rushing through the project because I want the end product. But this time I was just like, no, I'm going to actually try this on. I'm going to see how it fits my body. I'm going to see how I really want this. I mean, I'm taking the time to make something for myself. I want it to fit me the way that I want that it should fit me. So I don't know, there was a shift in me, and maybe that was it, was just I was taking my time with it and really looking at it objectively and saying, how long do I want this? And looking at it more like I might, as a dressmaker or something, instead of just someone following a pattern. And and so I'm really, really, I think that's why I'm pleased. It took me a long time. When I got about to the armholes, I realized I made a mistake, so I had to take back about 7 inches. And that set me back about 7 days, because I realized I made the mistake on a Sunday evening after working all weekend on it. And so that entire weekend, 8 hours a day of knitting was wasted. So because I think I ended up, Mark was working and I was home, Max wasn't home. I just had time to myself, and I just plowed through my knitting, and then I ended up making a mistake. So maybe this is for me, really the lesson is do not plow through your knitting. Take your time with your knits, and cherish this time knitting. It's such an amazing, relaxing and enjoyable thing to do. What is the big rush? It's coming almost this need for the product. It's greed or something. Is there greed in me that's coming through in these sweaters? Probably. It's so interesting, right? So I just need to chill and just take my time. I think that is the key, why this came out the way it did. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit what it was like to knit it in Plotilopi. She, in her pattern, she recommends Plotilopi for this. I thought it was hard to knit. I only held the yarn. I only did a single strand of Plotilopi, which maybe that's crazy. Maybe you're supposed to hold it double. I think, I wasn't a rookie because it was about 3 years ago I did this. But I have come a long way, and now in my skills and stuff, and nowadays I would actually, no way would I do this with just a single strand of Plotilopi. I would have held it double with something else maybe, because the other problem with Plotilopi is that it doesn't wear particularly well, right? It has these holes that kind of appear. There's another hole here. And you don't really see it. And I wear this so much. I really get a lot of use out of it. So this is much drapier. It's thinner. This is really more of a jacket. It's got structure, right? This has a lot of drape. So that is the main thing that is different about these two sweaters. Also, there's a provisional cast on for the collar. For the sweaters, it's a top down starting at the collar. The provisional cast on, I would never do. I did Judy's Magic Cast On, but I had so much, I didn't know about Judy's Magic Cast On at the time. That was how I found out about it. So I was trying to do a crochet cast on. I was trying to do other kinds of cast ons. I would have absolutely given up and said, forget it. I don't care about the sweater if I did not find Judy's Magic Cast On with Plotilopi. That was the only way I could get that done. And I did. Then the other problem that I had, of course, it breaks, right? It's not the most, it's a fragile yarn that pulls apart, but when it actually has a lot of strength when it's knitted together, but not a lot of stretch. So I think that's why it's wearing and where I'm getting holes. But that also, the breakability caused problems when I was doing the sleeves, because you're supposed to decrease, and I couldn't. I was too afraid I was going to break the yarn. So the sweaters are I said, forget it, I'll just make them wide. And I also didn't try it on, so the sleeves are way too long. I followed the measurements without actually trying on the sweater, which seems insane to me that I did that, but I did. And so the sleeves are long and wide, which makes it a very impractical knit, because even though I wear it all the time, it's not, I have to take it off to wash dishes. I have to take it off to do any housework or anything that requires hands or water, or, you know, it's not something I would wear. And I'm hard on my sweaters. I wear them to do everything. I'm not precious with them at all. Even my most elegant, beautiful sweaters, I wear them all the time. So, so this is not, I love this sweater. I still wear it all the time. I love how it fits. I love the drape of it. But you know, I'll show you just how it looks as a comparison. So the sweater is knit like this. I'll just give you a quick how it goes. So this is my original one, knit in Plotalopi. There's a provisional cast on here. So you start at the beginning, at the middle of the collar, and then you work back, you work one side, and then you work the other side, and then you pick up stitches, and you don't pick up stitches, you cast on stitches for the shoulder. Right, so you're casting on that way, and you're knitting back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so here's the, okay. So so this is also, like, I think a really cool sweater. It's oversized, you know, I don't mind, I don't hate the big sleeves, but I usually roll them up. You can't really see the stitch pattern as well as you can in the lighter color yarn, and the different the thickness shows the stitch pattern, but you can still see it. I get a lot of compliments on this sweater. So, and it is definitely one of my most worn sweaters. So yeah, so I love it, but it's just, those are the two things that I would notice. They're completely different items of clothing, right? They're just, one is so much thicker and so much more structured. And I love those stitches. I love how it looks on this yarn. Just so textural, and it's like sensual to touch it and to wear it. I just love it. So grateful to Anke Strick for her beautiful patterns, which, following her patterns, they're very European in the sense that she's not telling you what you need to do every minute. You have to really think about it. Once you're in the section, it's very mindless knitting. It's like you can watch movies. You don't have to really pay that close attention. But when something changes, you've got to, like, maybe spend 10 or 15 minutes really reading what she's saying and really considering how to do it, and what so when I did that pattern, I looked through the entire pattern. I figured out what I was going to do. I had to do that. Otherwise it was just, I would say intermediate level. And I was probably more of a beginner when I did this sweater. So really, really love it. Love the color. I love the color in this Plotalopi, and I love the color on this fossil tweed. Just really beautiful, functional, kind of funky chic, kind of rough chic, both of them. Rugged chic maybe is the better word. Yeah, so much love for my big love. I'm sending you so much love. Have an amazing rest of your weekend. Bye.